Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and I'm very glad you're joining us again today. Today I'm going to have a very special show. I have invited back one of the closest friends and colleagues of A Better World, major advocate of us for, oh boy, let me get out my calculator, about 30 years. And that's Dr. Bruce Lipton, internationally renowned cellular biologist, author of several books, The Biology of Belief being the first, The Honeymoon Effect being another, Spontaneous Evolution being yet another. And he has been on the cutting edge of understanding the nature of, well, honestly, reality through biology, through understanding genetics, through understanding epigenetics, through bringing the wisdom of the mind-body connection. It's not even a connection, it's a one system relationship of how the mind, emotions, and belief systems actually influence our cellular lives. And interestingly, even our DNA. Bruce has been on the forefront of this. He is really in many ways the father of epigenetics, and I've been telling him and many others for many years that he should be awarded the Nobel Prize for Medicine for his breakthroughs in understanding the way the system as a whole works, which unfortunately medicine has broken down into all of its separate discrete parts. Yet it works as a whole. That's becoming more and more known, and it's very much thanks to Bruce Lipton's work that we have come more consensually to understand that. So I've been a big fan, as you can tell, and we've been dear friends for a long time. So today, Bruce, welcome back to A Better World.
Mitchell, I am so delighted with you. I just love my time with you. We have such wonderful things to say and deal with each other. And we've been together, as you said, my God, decades. And it was neat because you were one of the first people to interview me long time ago for epigenetics manifest in the scientific community. We were together in New York. Fabulous. And thank you for bringing me on today because, boy, if you ever needed time to hear some nuance, it's time right now because we're in a very serious game, and the outcome is to be determined, but it'll be determined when people recognize who they really are, not victims, as we've been programmed to be.
Absolutely, Bruce. I mean, we've had you on, you've been on literally every year, at least once. One year we had you on with Patch Adams, who actually you and Margaret introduced me to some years back. But we've had you on yourself to schmooze with me, to dialogue with me, and to help bring the awareness of the nature of things, if you really will, to the foreground. And that's so precious. And as you say, just to reiterate, and the subject of today is deconstructing COVID, to really take a good hard look. I know you have a few opinions. I have one or two myself, and just to really help people get clear about a tremendous amount of misinformation, disinformation, even propaganda. And we want people to be healthy and happy and strong and standing in their own power. And I feel that a lot of the messages that you have to share really help us with that. So with that said, please begin sharing what you know, what you see, and what you want us to know.
Okay, let's go this way. Every year we have a flu season, and every year it's a return of previously experienced viruses. Because a species of virus, we've experienced them historically. There are different viruses. The significance is we have an immunological memory from previous exposures to versions of the species. But apparently, this is a version that we have collectively had an experience as a human population. So I say, so what's the relevance? I say, well, number one, all of us are, open to have this issue because our immune system hasn't in any way been pre-programmed to deal historically with this type of, this one. So I say everyone is susceptible. Now the question is this, how susceptible and how lethal is this virus? I bring that up because when the first coming out, my God, with a story of millions of people are going to die, millions and millions, and like every year there's a flu season. Oh, the flu season's coming, shot this year, and everybody goes, yeah, I'll get it. This year it's like the flu season's coming, and everybody's going to die. Oh, jeez.
Everybody
response here. Everybody's in trouble here. So the idea is this: it is a variable flu. Yes, it is. Same virus species involved. Okay. What differentiates flu viruses from others is that they generally grow in the respiratory system. And I say why? Because these viruses have a tendency to reproduce at a lower temperature than body temperature. So that's why colds generate, problems with these flu viruses. For the reason is, if the viruses get in your throat, the temperature in your down to your lungs is not body temperature. It's a lot cooler, especially in the wintertime when you're breathing in cold air, so that the tissue lining the respiratory tract, not at at body temperature, it's at, what's going on. And so that's why flus show up in the winter, because that's when the colder air is coming in, and that really promotes the reproduction of these viruses. They reproduce at a cooler temperature than body temperature, and that's why respiratory system's the only part of the air connected so to the outside, taking in cold air, cooling the system, making it, ripe for infection.
Is it also true,
what's
then,
unique about
Bruce, that in then more temperate climates or in hotter weather, like right now in New York City where it's steaming hot, that the ability for a virus to infect significantly decreases?
That's what the intention was. That's why they were expecting like the drop, because as the temperature gets warmer, virus doesn't reproduce fast. And then they say, okay, but next flu season is coming back, and then it'll start up again, so it's not finished. But the point is this.
Yes.
What's so unique about this version of it? And the answer is the presumed, and I use that word, presumed lethality. That if you get a virus, you're going to stand a good chance of dying. That was like the whole belief. I say, first of all, how do you establish mortality rate? This is really critical. You take the people who have died from, let's say, COVID, divided by the number of people who have COVID. And I say, why is it relative? There's a large number of people dying and a small number that have it. That's a high death rate. But if you have a number of people a mass number of people that have had it, the death rate gets shorter and smaller and smaller. So they started off with the numbers of reported cases divided into the number of deaths, came out with 3, 4, 5% mortality rate, which is very high considering average flu is a 0.1. So I go, wow. I say, so they took this and made projections. Wow, if that many people are dying, that percentage, then millions of people are going to die.
They extrapolated.
That problem is the denominator, the number of people who have the virus, is so misunderstood, because how did they get that number? People who went to the doctor and people who went to the hospital. And I go, yeah, that's great. But what about all the people that got it and never went to a doctor or hospital? I say, their number is not included. I go, oh, well, that's a failure of the system, because
Correct.
If they've had it, their number is important to be in that conclusion. So now we're what? Twice as many, up to 10 times as many people have the virus as has been reported as having the virus. I say, why is that important? Because if those people who didn't get reported by a doctor or hospital, but put that number in the denominator, guess what? Who comes out 0.1 to 0.2%, which is, oh, well, that's a standard flu.
That's right.
I
That's
go,
the
yeah,
standard
that's
flu.
the number. So the predictions were completely mathematically screwed up, but they scared people enough. And I go, so what else is important about it? So, scaring people. I go, what do you mean? I go, this is real important because let me emphasize a fact, then we'll talk about it. Now, it turns out less than one of diseases connected to genetics. That's a very small number. I say significance. Well, the research dollars is going on genetics. I go, genetics plays a minor part in human health issues. Small, 1%. Okay? So then where's all the other 90+% of issues coming from? Stress, not living in harmony with the environment. What's going on? I go, why is it relevant? If it's genetics, you got a problem, we have to deal with it. If it's stress, oh, that's something you can deal with. I am the source problem and I am also the solution. And so the idea is stress. And I go, well, how does stress cause disease? Go simple. I need to explain it because it's the foundation of the healthcare crisis across the globe. So here's what it is. Stress promotes a response. So I'm going to give you, there's two kinds of responses a cell like A or B. You can be in this one or you can be in this one, but you can't be in both. Are they? I say growth and protection. They can't occur at the same time. You go, what do you mean? Growth, let's say if there's a stimulus in front of me, growth have me go to that stimulus and take it in. So I have to, if it's a stimulus that adds to my life and value, I want to get it and I want to take it in. So that means I go to the stimulus, I am open because I want to assimilate that. That's growth. In contrast, a threat stimulus pushes this into protection. I go, well, what does that mean? I say, well, if there's a stress stimulus in front of me, I don't go to it, I go away from it. Do I stay open? I say, no. I say absolutely closed. Why? I have to ward off, that threat. And I go, so what's the point? I say,
sorts.
Yeah. So I say, growth, go to the stimulus, arms open. Protection, go away from the stimulus, arms. I say, you can't go forwards and backwards at the same time. You can't be open and closed at the same time. The point is clear. You're either in growth or you're in protection. Okay. And I say, well, when was that protection response made? Adrenal, fight or flight. When was that? I say, early man, early people. And I say, what were you? Saber-tooth tiger. I go, so how did you deal with a saber-tooth tiger? Now listen to this, because COVID-19, saber-tooth tiger, here's how you deal with it. You perceive a stress that is threatening. So the first thing you want to do is get ready to run. That's what fear is. If you're being chased by a saber-tooth tiger, escape, running is the only way out. Okay, so I say, what do you use when you're running? What organ? The penis.
Right.
You're using the liver. You're using arms and legs. So I say, well, what's the relevance? I say, if you're going to escape from saber-tooth tiger, you want all the energy available to go to your arms and legs because you want to get the hell out of there. I say, what carries energy? Blood. So I say, oh, so I'm running from a saber-toothed tiger. I want to direct my blood to my arms and legs because that's where the energy is that's going to help me.
Sure.
So I say, listen to the quote out of a biology book. When a stress response occurs, the blood is preferentially sent to the arms and legs. I go, yeah, cool. I'm running. I want the blood. Oh, wait. Preferentially sent? Where the heck was it before it was in the arms and legs? Oh, it was in the viscera. What function of the gut? Health, maintenance of the body, fixing, repairing, cleaning, digestion, taking care of your health. So I say, what happens when you see that saber-toothed tiger? I say, stress hormones go into the blood. What do? They cause the blood vessels in the gut to squeeze shut. And I say, because when the blood vessels squeeze shut, it pushes the blood to the arms and legs. That's where I need them. So I say, oh, so the first thing when you eat is butterflies in the stomach, a queasy feeling. I said, what's the queasy?
Yes.
Blood vessels shutting. You can feel them. It's like, oh, it feels strange, queasy. Okay. So that pushes blood to my arms and legs at the expense of shutting off growth. Okay. It shuts. Okay.
Right.
Say, what else? I go, the immune system uses tremendous amount of energy, because if you're sick, in many cases, you're so weak from the sickness, you can't get out of the bed. I go, where's the weakness come from? Energizing the immune system to protect you is taking all that energy. So I say, okay, I have a bacterial infection. I'm being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. How should I split the energy? Answer is, oh, the hell with the bacteria. If the tiger catches you, the bacteria are not really a problem anymore. So what happens is stress hormones shut off the immune system to conserve energy to run away from a threat. And I go, you know how effective it shuts off the immune system? Medical doctors give patients who are going to receive a transplant, foreign organ, before they give them that transplant, they give them stress, so that their immune system is restricted when they put the foreign organ into the body, that the immune system doesn't immediately attack it. So I say, wow, stress is, the hormones are so effective that it's used therapeutically to shut off the immune system. Oh, so what's the consequence of the tiger chasing you? I shut down the growth and the mechanisms of my viscera, which are keeping me healthy and alive. And I shut off the immune system. And I go, wow. Well, back in the old days, when the only damn thing to run away from was a tiger, that was like, okay, 10 minutes, run full out, you escaped, you're free, no more stress, life goes back.
Immune system kicks back in and starts to do
absolutely
function again.
Get rid of that stress. Get rid of the stress allows the immune system to kick back in. Okay. But as long as you're in that stress, it's inhibiting. I go, well, in the old days, it was 10 minutes while you the tiger. In today's world, it's 24/7, 365 stress. We are compromising our physiology and our health. We are compromising our immune system. And I want to add this one because, boy, this hurts. This is what I call the insult on top of the injury.
Yes.
When you're in a fight or flight response, rely on conscious thinking. It's too slow. That's why when you're stressed, the blood flow in the cerebral cortex right up here, the blood flow, guess what? The same as the blood vessels in the gut squeeze shut to push the blood to the arms and legs.
So too.
The stress hormone squeezes the blood vessels in the forebrain so that it pushes the blood to the hindbrain where reactions occur.
The reptilian brain.
Three things. One, you shut down growth and maintenance of the body. Number two, you shut off the immune system. And number three, shut off consciousness to start dealing with no thinking, reaction. So I go, wow. I say, what's the consequence of all this? I say, health is compromised when you're in stress. And I go, interesting point. When your health is compromised, a virus that would be just a normal virus, okay, so I got a flu.
That's right.
But when I'm stressed, that virus has much more power because my immune is not to its regular function. It's being shut down. So I say, my God, two people get the same virus. One's under stress, the other one, I can tell you the one under stress is going to have the pathology much worse than the other one who might just end up with sniffles. I got a sneeze and a cough, but nothing to worry about. Okay. So now I say, so let's look at the fear. The fear of what? The deadly virus that's going to kill millions of people because that number is fake. It's not going to kill millions of people. A normal virus can kill up to 600. What's that?
Let me add one thing to the arithmetic that you were talking about before about the denominator and doing the arithmetic to figure out what the actual fatality rate is. There's one other factor, which is the testing itself has been shown to be very flawed. So if you are dealing with faulty tests where, 50% are false negatives and the other 50% are false positives, do the arithmetic then. You don't have a sound basis for doing a scientific review of how this particular virus stands relative to all the others.
Absolutely. But if you build your belief system on the false numbers, then you end up with a fear that change the population because they're all afraid of dying, not getting a flu,
Exactly.
but dying from a flu.
This is
And
why I wanted you to be on, Bruce, to help to explicate these details that get lost in the rubble and all of the background noise. People aren't using them. This morning I was on a run and I was thinking I want to start a whole global movement called Think.
It's hard to do with stress hormones. Very hard with stress hormones.
But I'm not talking about everyone, but most everyone. But it's an invocation for people to think and reflect on information and start to recognize themselves in a different level of authority over and related to their own bodies, hearts, and minds. That's the call, if you will.
Yeah, but now the problem is this, is that if you hear on the news every day about how many people are getting sick, how many people are dying, and that it's getting worse and worse, I say, where do you think your consciousness is? In growth?
Exactly.
Or
I don't think so.
Protection.
Exactly.
So it's
please go back to where you were. Please pick that up with you're going into the boogeyman. Yeah, I know where you're going.
That's it. So the media is creating greater stresses than the virus might be creating. Because as long as the people, I am causing them to be less immune system and less growth and maintenance, and then doing things because we're not thinking anymore. We're reacting to all this stuff. And I go, so why is it relevant? Because when you start to see how many people have had this virus and didn't need symptoms enough to go to a doctor or to go to a hospital, and I say, well, then it's not as lethal as you thought it, was it? And I go, absolutely not. But the belief that it's lethal is the same as it being lethal, because the belief of its lethality is the stress that shuts off your immune system. And I say, well, why is New York like an epicenter of what's going on? I mean, if it's so harmful, then how come so many New Yorkers are affected by it? And I go, it's stress correlated. And I go, what does that mean? I go, here's a fact that is in your head. And it's like, and the fact is 60% of Americans have one chronic disease, and 40% of Americans have two or more chronic diseases. By definition, a chronic disease influences negative way the immune function. It compromises immunity. So I say, well, then who are the ones that are most susceptible? And I say, those that are compromised. And I go, what's compromising? A, chronic illnesses, and on top of that, add stress. And I go, look at people live from week to week, paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's a stressful life as you could ever imagine, because you have nothing to fall back on. And then say, hey, can't go to work, no job, no money. It's like, holy crap. You want to talk about stress?
Right.
You want to talk about stress?
There's
right there
living in New York in itself. And there's another factor that I want to throw in here and get your opinion about, which has to do with air pollution. Because as I've heard, in Wuhan, there is the greatest concentration of air pollution based on, factories, etc., cars, etc. And same with northern Italy. And by the way, New York is not so clean itself. So another added issue.
And it compounds because it's a respiratory issue that is, in working with the stress of a respiratory flu at the same time. the breathing and the flu
Yes.
together is like, that's a double whammy, a double punch.
Exactly.
You're in a lot of trouble at this point. And then I go, so what's the relevance of all this? I say, they're scared the hell out of people.
Yeah.
Every day. And I say, what was the consequence? And I look back at it from a perspective, looking at it, and now I'm looking at it this way. I'm going, oh my God, you didn't see what just happened. What just happened was the institution of global government, because the entire population of the world responded to the same threat. And therefore, whoever offered the threat offered what you have to do. And they have manipulated life on this planet all over the planet, called one world government. Well, here it is, boy, it's beginning. Now, the question is it a benevolent government or not? And I'm going to have to say, personal experience, do I trust them? Well, no. So right away, I got concerned about
it's not
world government.
Their street cred is not so great, Bruce, right? It's the same organization that was actually giving black men, syphilis to do an experiment on them. This was outlawed by Nuremberg, as you recall, medical experimentation. It's the same people who brought us that and many other downstream medical issues foisted upon the public, the innocent public, including, as you know, the CIA with LSD. Not to go too far afield. It's actually not us going far afield. It's our beloved governments.